Okay, today's the yahrzeit of my father, the first one, based on Yom HaMisa, from when he was Harini Kaparas Mishkavo. I guess maybe today's the last day. We'll say that. Then we start saying, or maybe today I should already start saying Zichrona Livracha from the first year to onward. And it's the yahrzeit based on Yom HaMisa, which is generally done by the Sephardim, by Ashkenazim. Many wait for Yom HaKavura if it's more than 3 days. But we're going to get there in a few months with Hilchas Avelos. That's a machlokas in Ashkenazim, two main minhagim, which one to go by. I'll just share one thing, two short, quick things in honor of my father, in memory, Le'ili Nishmasa. One is we just recently finished learning Hilchos Avadim. So basically, we saw this in the beginning, towards the beginning of the Shulchan Aruch, and at the very end of the Rambam, where he writes how that when a person has a slave, he's allowed to work him as hard as he wants, mi'ikar adin. But that's basically usher. That's not the way a Jew behaves. We're midas chesed, we're rachmanim, and therefore the Jewish way is only to treat your eved properly, with dignity, like a person. Chazal, or the Torah, gave us permission to work a slave, but not to embarrass or abuse a slave. They're still people, and therefore you have to, when you have food, you feed them from all your delicious foods, and that's how we don't overwork them, v'chule. So just my father, when he had a helper in the house, whatever, to clean, for this, for that, Friday nights, before he sat down and ate himself Friday night, he would take a plate and fill it up with all the delicious delicacies, all the foods from the kitchen, and fill up a plate of everything, and would give it to the helper before he sat down and ate himself. I always wondered, wow, that's so nice. That's okay. That's my father. And then also we also just completed learning Hilchos Tzedakah. So just one thing about Hilchos Tzedakah is we learned the highest level of Hilchos Tzedakah is if a person needs help, he doesn't have a parnasa, you don't give him a fish, you teach him how to hunt and how to catch fish. So my father, right, that's the highest level, is you help someone, or you pretend ki'ilu you're a partner and you give him money and you start him off. So my father helped many people start a business in Los Angeles in electronics. He taught them how to make a business. He actually gave them merchandise and money to start a business, and like big money, or to open up a store. And so anyways, let's start today with Hilchos Milah. We are on Siman Reish Samech. Okay, the first one, Aleph. There's only one. Mitzvat aseh la'av lamul et beno. There's a mitzvah for the father to do the bris milah for his son. Right? There's a special obligation on a father for his child, and we'll see in the next siman by the Ramah says, and there isn't that same obligation on the wife, on the mother. The Gemara and Kedushin quotes, right? You see in the Be'er Golem in Yichtiv from Brachus, v'yamol Avraham kasher v'chule v'kasher tziva oto. Hashem commanded him v'lo ota, and not her, not Sarai or Sarah. So therefore, it is, I think she was Sarah at the time. Okay, fine. That's that. Ugedola mitzvah zo misha'ar mitzvat aseh. And it is great, this mitzvah of bris milah is greater than all, or almost all, I think all, mitzvahs aseh. Positive commandments that you must do. That's pretty strong to say greater than all, but it's certainly one of the greatest of the mitzvot aseh. I believe in HaKadosh Baruch Hu is one of the mitzvot aseh. But anyways, this is certainly one of the greatest. Yes, I was about to say, the Shach is quite technical as a halachist, and he writes that why is this mitzvah greater than all other mitzvahs aseh is because there is a tzad of kares. Okay. Fine. So there's the tzad of kares if a person doesn't do it. We're going to see that in the next siman. Also, we know Milah, that's the bris of Avraham Avinu, that's the bris of becoming Am Hashem. So that's also why it's so great. And Chazal say Avraham wasn't called Shalem and right complete until he had bris Milah. So that applies to us as well. Also, we know there's 13 brisos, covenants. It says 13 times between Hashem and Avraham and us regarding a bris milah. We don't have that by other ases. Also, through the zchus of the bris milah, Hashem gave us Eretz Yisrael. Also, Chazal say bris milah is matzila midin gehenim. So having a bris milah is a huge segula to help us survive Gehenim. And also in Arel, Chazal say, right, we take this with a grain of salt. We say this on numerous things, take it with a grain of salt, but in Arel has Ein Lo Chelek Le'olam Haba. So therefore, having a bris milah removes us from that. Here, actually, an important understanding in the mitzvah of milah, right? Keep this in mind when we learn the halachas of milah. Is there different aspects to it? One is there's the actual cutting, the actual action of doing the milah. That's part of the mitzvah of milah. Another one is removing ourselves from being in arel, uncircumcised. That's another. So two huge things. Right? One is more of tara and tuma, or however you want to look at it, and makes a big nafkamina. Also, there is a chiyuv or an isser every single day to have somebody to be mahul, to be circumcised. We're going to see that going forward. So it's just okay. Different things to keep in mind. Fine. Let's go to Reish Samech Aleph Halacha Aleph. Now, if the father fails to do bris milah on the 8th day like he's supposed to, so then there's a chiyuv on Beis Din to step in and take care of it. If the father doesn't do it, he's not around, he's not able to do it, whatever the case is. So then it jumps to Beis Din. V'im lo malu Beis Din chayav hu k'sheyigdal lamul et atzmo. Now, if Beis Din doesn't take care of it, the boy himself, or now he's a man, whatever it is, he is obligated himself to take care of himself as well. And so it starts, he's 8 days old, what is he going to do? So it starts with the father, then it goes to Beis Din, then it goes on to himself, and he himself is responsible, right? Everyone has to be responsible for themselves in life. We can't rely on others. Chayav karet. And if a person doesn't do a bris milah, he's chayav kares. When is he chayav kares? So the Rambam writes, when he dies. Because every day you're able to be metakin, you're able to fulfill it. So therefore, until you can't do it anymore, you're not actually chayav kares. That's the Rambam.
That shows that Christ is not just dying.
So we're about to say. So obviously let me keep reading and then we'll see. Let me just read the first line of the Haggadah. Ubechol yom ovrim ba'onshim elu, and every single day, the Ramah points out, you are, we get punished. Every single day of delay, there's a mitzvah every single day to do bris milah, starting from after the 8th day. We can't push it off, right? A milah that was pushed off for whatever reason, even if it was done beheter, you don't say, well, once it's pushed off, let's just wait till a convenient day. We'll wait till everyone's in town. We'll wait for another this, that. No, you can't push it off even one day. We're gonna see, and every day we get punished. So this Ramah apparently, at least the Gra points out, is against Lafuke, the Rambam, because on the page the Ravid says, what do you mean? You're chayav kares already as soon as he's much earlier, right away. I don't know if he means 13 years old, 20 years old. I don't know. He doesn't specify. But you're chayav right away, kares. And some point out, I don't know if the Ravid himself points out, but some point out for the Rambam, for the Ravid, one of the reasons is, Kesef Mishnah mentions it, because kares means you die young. At least that's one of the explanations of kares, is that you die young. So if you die young, how can you only get kares after you're dead? So anyway, so that's a machokas rishonim, how that figures out, and what is kares. So obviously the Rambam is defining kares more in a spiritual kares after one dies. Okay, let's keep reading. Ve'ein malin beno shel adam shelo midalto. Ella imkein avar ha'av velo malu bezdin velo malu ha'av. One is not allowed. No. Kares only applies to the child. There's an obligation for the father to circumcise his son, but there's certainly no kares. That goes on the person who himself is an arel. That's clear. Then, what did we just say? A person cannot steal the honors, right? A person can't go ahead and do Milah against the father's will. He has to get permission. He can't steal it from the father. Unless, of course, Beis-Din is saying, we're taking over because the father didn't do it yet. So then, of course, Beis-Din can take over. Shach just points out that if a person steals the mitzvah, then he's chayav like any mitzvah, you're chayav to pay the father 10 asara zehuvim. Now, the penalty, the Shach writes, that's only if it's the father who's going to do the milah. Because if you steal it from a shaliach, you don't have to pay asara zehuvim. Only if you steal the actual mitzvah that he was going to do. That was his mitzvah. I know that's what he writes. I don't know if it's any different. Nowadays, sometimes in a moel, we'll set up the bila and the father will cut. So maybe it's different. Not sure. Yeah, so there's a machlokas between the Darchei Moshe says if the father is a moel himself, it's usher to give to someone else to do. No, the Ramah says you're allowed to. The Shach says he's not allowed to. Anyway, it's a machlokas if you can give it to someone else if the father himself is a moel. The mother never has this obligation. Ha'av she'eni yodea lamul. V'yesh kan moel she'eno rotze lamul b'chinam rak b'schar. Okay, so this is what happens nowadays for most of us. The father's not a moel, so he has to get a moel. He has to hire one. And the moel is not going to do it unless you pay him. So what do? Yesh lebeizin ligor b'moel. Zeh beizin should protest ligor, reprimand for the moel for insisting on getting paid. Ki ein zed darkan shel zera Avraham. This is not the way of the Jew. V'adarabba moelim mahadrim shitim lehem lamul. Ve'im omed bemerdo ve'ein yad ish maseget latet lo scharo have kemi she'ein lo av. Shebeitin chayavim lamulo. So really the moelim should be excited and happy to do it, even if it's for free. If they get a gift afterwards, wonderful. If not, not. But no, let's say a person doesn't have money to pay for a moel, and the moel says, I'm not going to do it unless you pay me. You can't use a bris milah to demand. So anyways, if there's no way to get a moel to do it for free, then again, it doesn't mean you can't pay him for him as a reward, but if he's demanding money and that's the only way, he says, I need whatever, 1,000 shekel, $1,000, whatever it is, 2,000, whatever it is. So then it's on Beis-Din to pay, because Beis-Din now has to pay. Anyway, so Beis-Din has to take care of it. If there's no one, either they look for someone else who'll do it for free, or they pay. I have no choice. Doesn't say. Or they force him to do it. When there's no one else to do it, of course. Siman Reish Samech Bet. So that's the question. Can he?
He does it.
Yeah, so that's what he's saying. Zera Avraham is you're not supposed to ask for money. You can say it's customary for people to pay, but I don't demand it. One should not use the words I'm demanding.
In other words, the moel can't say my fee is.
He should not say my fee is. Correct. He could say what's normal for people to pay, but he should not say this is my fee, because that means you're when a person says it's my fee, that means you're not doing it unless you pay me. Zman Reish Samech Bet. Let's at least start. Zman Milah. Okay, when is the time of Milah? Aleph. Ein malin avshetane tzachama miyom hashmini leledato. One should not do. One does not do Milah, the bris Milah, until sunrise. Right? B'yom hashmini leledato. On the 8th day. Can't be less than 8 days, and it can't be done at nighttime. If a person did it from Amud Shachar, let's say 72 minutes before Shkia, before Nates, sunrise, so then one is Yotze. Couple thoughts or ways to understand. The Taz writes, because before it's sunrise, we don't know 100% when it's Amud Shachar. So to keep it simple and to stay away from a suffix or a mistake of doing it too early in the nighttime, then we just wait till you see the sun and we're good to go. Could be that Amud Shachar is not 100% daytime, but Lamaisa, it could be Itzumo Shel Yom, the main day starts at Nates, and that's also for all mitzvahs. So the daytime, we always say the time to do it is only after sunrise. But if you did it Amud Shachar, you are 100% Yotze. You don't have to go back and do anything. We're about to see about Hatafat Dambrit, and it's 100% fine. Yalkut Yosef, others will say that if it's also Bishat Chak, whatever the case might be, if there's real Bishat Chak for whatever unusual circumstances, so sometimes we say Amud Shachar, it could even be Lechatchila. So it depends on the case. Fine. V'kol hayom kasher leMilah. All day long, it's kasher leMilah. Alash zrizim magdimim lemitzvos umalin miyad baboker. One should be zaris and do it right away in the morning, immediately, as soon as possible. Even if it's a milah that's done late after the 8th day, so then it can only be done during the day. Right, the poskim generally, all right, it should be done early in the morning and certainly not past chatzos, or some say the 5th hour. That's lachatchila. Many will say it's even better to do it in the morning, even if not everyone is going to be there. Again, that all depends, lafia inyan, but that's it's important to try and do it at least early in the morning or before chatzos. If it's a fast day, so you do the meal in the morning, and then you're going to obviously eat at night or the next day, whatever happens. There is one interesting, if a person, it's good to do a bris milah with a minyan. So some write in Yalkut Yosef, it's okay to wait until later if you can't get a minyan, whatever, that happens depending on your community or where you live and how it works, or family. So that can be a reason to wait till after chatzos. But again, but not to the nighttime. He writes also that if it comes out during bein hashmashos, for some reason it gets pushed off, bediavad, you can still do it with the bracha after bein hashmashos, but it has to be like the earlier bein hashmashos. If you're Hasidish, maybe different, but don't wait for Rabbeinu Tam. That's already too late. Every Rav, whatever city, depends what you call your bottom line. When is it too late to do it or say a bracha? Fine, but okay, let's keep reading. Haga avar umal belayla tzarich lachzor ulahatif mimenu dambrit. Okay, so this the next two cases are it's a machloket rishonim halacha. What's the halacha? If it's done, we said it must be on the 8th day, right? Not before, and it must be during the day. What happens if you did a bris milah at nighttime? You did it at night. That's what happened. Or he did it on the 7th day or the 1st day. Made a mistake, didn't make a mistake, hospital, whatever the reason was done, it was done. Now do we say it's good enough? So it's a machlokas. It's a machlokas if it's okay b'di'evet or not, machlokas rishonim. We're going to see inside. I'll just say, just because it's simpler, in Yalkut Yosef he writes b'di'evet, both are good, and you don't have to do hatafat dambrit. Hatafat dambrit, what's hatafat dambrit? We're going to see it's a machlokas over here. The Ramah breaks it up. We just read it, so I'll just say, the Ramah says for the nighttime, if you did it at night, then it's no good, and you have to repeat it with hatafat dambrit. You take a little prick of blood, tiny slice, or just a little pin drop, so that's fine too. It's with a needle, so a drop of blood comes out. What's it called? Then, but he writes malu toch shmona ubayom, malu toch shmona ubayom. But if you did it during the day, within the first 7 days. For this, he writes Yatza. So the Rama is Machalik Pedi if you have to still do Hatafat Tamrit. What is Hatafat Tamrit? So I just told you. So Machlokas, I believe everyone says you do it on the skin, as close to the edge of the, to the top or whatever, to the end of the Atara, the end of the Aver. You do a tiny little prick on the skin because that's where the original cut was, right? There is an opinion in the Chazon Ish. I don't know if anyone follows it, Lamaisa. He says you do it on the actual Atara, which is on the area where the Priya, where the skin and where the skin used to be covering, because that's what you had to remove. So you want to be doing it in that area. Okay. So but it's just to get a drop of blood, and then it's all you need to do. And you're not doing all the brachas again and stuff like that. Fine. We'll get to that when we get there. Here it's a suffix, these cases. So here for sure you wouldn't do a bracha. Tzitzin hame'akvin. If you have to go back, we're going to get to this again later. If you have to go back and cut extra that wasn't enough, we're going to get to that later, but if a person didn't cut enough of the foreskin, if it's something that's just extra, that's called eina me'akvin. It doesn't prevent the child from being a mahul and not an arel, so then you can do that at nighttime. But if it's tzitzin me'akvin, then the milah is not kosher. It wasn't done, and you have to redo it. So in those cases, you have to do it during the day, because that's like the etzem of milah. I'll just point out here, the Shach and Taz, they argue, if you have to do hatafat dambrit, is it a chumrah? You have to or not have to? So I believe, according to both of them, they would say you do have to do hatafat dambrit if it was done at nighttime or in the first 7 days. Ask.
Just say it should be valid.
Yeah. So there's a discussion about it. Yeah. So they disagree. But again, ask your Rav what to do, Lamaisa. One of the question comes out, they say you have to do it, right? But is it just l'chumra or mi'ikar adin? In other words, is it docha Shabbos? Let's say a person did it the night of the 8th or in the first 7 days, and they did it too early, and you have to do hatafat dambrit. Is it docha Shabbos? So if you're going to be machmer, even for Svardim, for anyone, if you're going to do hatafat dambrit, if it's midin chumra, for sure it's not docha Shabbos. But according to the Shach, he says it is docha Shabbos if it was done at nighttime, because he holds that doesn't count for anything. That's his opinion. But anyway, I doubt anyone. I'm assuming nobody would do hatafat dambrit on Shabbos l'maiser.